On today's show, Whitt Jr. says this player has had a good day of practice every day throughout the summer. Jayden Daniels has joined a new company, but what exactly is he up to? And what is making Kliff Kingsbury so excited about the Commanders' offense going into the new season? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. As you guys already know, I'm coming out with daily content on this channel. We already posted this morning. We're back here with another video. There is a chance that you get a third one later today. If not, we will discuss the material I have lined up in tomorrow's video. I will tell you more about that in just a second. But before I do, please guys, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button. I say it at the start of every video for a reason. We are building a community. We're on the chase to 1,000 subscribers. When we get there, I promise to redecorate my background. But most importantly, the preseason's about to start. We are about to get official NFL action involving the Commanders, and I want us to be as big of a community as we can be at that moment because I want the different perspectives. I want the conversations in the comments section. I've said that I would love for you guys to join me on camera. I want us to be fully locked in as a community, so again, hit that subscribe button. To my returning subscribers and my returning watchers, you guys are awesome. The love on the episodes has been absolutely unreal. If you want to support me and you want to support this channel, hit the like button. Whether you like me, whether you like the Commanders, whatever the case may be, do hit that like button. And as always, leave your comments on everything I say as we go through the video. So let's start off with a little bit of a Jayden Daniels update. He was named a brand ambassador for a new agency called Athletes in Control, which will essentially help brand high school athletes and college athletes who are looking to secure NIL deals, or at the very least, just build a brand for themselves in a very marketable world where someone like me can start a YouTube channel and 2 weeks later we're on the hunt to 1,000 subscribers. His mom is a co-founder of this company, and Antonio Pierce, the former Raiders interim turned head coach, who also worked at Arizona State and actually recruited Jayden Daniels to Arizona State, he is on board as a strategic advisor. So, something to keep an eye on. As a brand ambassador, I assume that doesn't mean Jayden's going to do a whole lot other than maybe take some pictures here and there, hit a couple of retweets, maybe speak at an off-season engagement, but cool opportunity for him. And as we know, he's working with his mom. They love to keep it in the family over there. So congratulations, Jayden and Jayden's mom, Regina Jackson. Hope it works out for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about some practice notes. I recorded my video this morning before practice had happened, before Dan Quinn or anybody had spoken to the media. Here are the updates that you guys need to know. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said that I might make a video later today or tomorrow. The first unofficial depth chart will be released today. I looked last year and they released it at 9 a.m. So I was waiting and the depth chart never came out. And I was like, screw it. It's just going to have to wait. But that is something to be excited for. We're going to get a look at the receiver battle. Not only who are the guys who are actually in position to be on the field, but who's going to make the 53-man roster? Is Ja'Cory Brooks, was his hot start to camp? Does that have him in position? Chris Moore being the veteran, does that have him in pole position? Who's going to be contributing on special teams? Does that mean they're going to rise up the ranks? Also got a lot of competition at defensive line, defensive back. This is going to be the first indication of what that final 53-man cut and what the roster will look like in week one. So definitely something to keep your eye on and something we will be discussing here on the channel. Dan Quinn, once again, second time this week, said that Sam Cosmi is still possible to return for week one. Nothing is confirmed. Nothing, meaning it's not confirmed he will or he will not be available. It's a possibility. They're seeing how he progresses. He mentioned that they want to test different things, like what's the quad strength like? How is his ability to load? Meaning if you step really quickly and you put a sudden weight on that knee, how does that respond? Still things they need to test. He also spoke about Johnny Newton. He said that he's really trying to leverage his speed. Quote, what a difference a year makes for Johnny Newton. Obviously, he wasn't healthy during the last training camp, which is tough for any rookie coming into the NFL. He came in with a foot injury. He wasn't able to progress and acclimate to the NFL game until he stepped on the field, which when people talk about Johnny Newton being a bit of a disappointment as a rookie, for a typical second-round pick, yeah, it wasn't quite what you wanted to see, but really he was put in a losing battle. That should be different this year. Again, he said they're trying to leverage his speed. They've tried him at the 1, the 3, even the 5 technique, which means they've kicked him out towards defensive end, see if he can apply some pressure from there. There's been talk about the Commanders using that elephant end. Maybe that's Javon Kinlaw, who's your defensive tackle, but sometimes he lines up at the edge. And at 315, 320 pounds, if he's not getting at the quarterback, at the very least, he's setting the edge. So you can't run outside and you're not going to scramble because the defensive line is going to have that rush lane integrity and they're going to have their edges set. So maybe Johnny Newton gets used in a form like that. We'll see. Also, big one here. DQ said that the defense has a long way to go. Direct quote, long way to go in tackling. Not what you want to hear when you think about the Eagles ran for 200 plus yards in all 3 games against the Commanders last year. But we have to be honest with ourselves. We know that this is a concern with the defense. And when the front office is following the model it is, which is drafting athletes and believing that they can develop them into the skills, which includes tackling, it's par for the course. So not encouraging to hear, but also not unexpected. So I'm just going to say it's not a huge deal. In the short term, it is a huge deal in the sense that this is a situation we need to monitor as the season progresses. Now let's talk about some notes from the coordinators here. Whitt Jr., remember the guy at the start I said has had a great day of practice every day? That would be Trey Amos, the second-round rookie out of Ole Miss, the cornerback. Today, out on the practice field, he had an interception off of Jayden Daniels. I believe the pass was a back shoulder for Chris Moore. Amos undercut it a little, went up and got the ball. He also had a pass breakup on Deebo Samuel, which I will be putting on the screen right now because it's a really good clip, and you'll be able to see he sticks close to his man, follows him as the ball's thrown and the receiver's hands go up. He gets his head back, is able to stick his hand in, break the pass up. He also had a pass breakup on Luke McCaffrey. So busy day, 2 PBUs, an interception. Very good day for Trey Amos. After one of the PBUs, the crowd apparently started chanting, "We want Terry." Hey, sometimes the defense wins, and it's not always the offense's fault. Maybe Terry has a better chance of catching it, but it's not tenable. So let's just not even talk about that right now. If you're going to Commanders camp and you're one of those people chanting things like that, let's just let the players and the coaches focus. If Terry's out there, we'll cheer for him. If he's not, let's let him do his thing. Whether that he's traded, whether he holds out, he's not in the focus right now. We can talk about him outside of practice hours. When the players are out on the field, let's allow them to concentrate. Whitt Jr. also said that the Commanders are working hard to find a role for Kane Medrano. They said that they think he's kind of a hybrid between Jeremy Chin and Frankie Louvu, but they don't know to which extreme, which side of that is he closer to. Do they want to use him as a situational rusher on third down? Do they want him dropping back into coverage more? They still need to figure it out. Although Whitt Jr. did say that there's been noticeable improvement in Kane Medrano's ability to cover tight ends over the middle of the field, and that is going to be his key to getting on the field. In those third down situations, is he going to be a big nickel? He has to be able to cover the middle of the field, tight end and running back, and he has to be able to tackle. That was his biggest concern coming out of UCLA. It does make sense because he was a converted wide receiver, but according to Pro Football Focus, he missed like 23% of his tackle attempts last year. That is awful. So he's going to have to prove in the preseason that he's able to tackle. Last note here from Whitt Jr. He was talking about Marshawn Lattimore. He said that he's looking a lot better, a lot healthier. The burst is there. The acceleration is there. We know the skills will always be there. He said that he never lost faith in Lattimore last year and the team never lost faith, even though he wasn't performing the way that anybody had hoped to. But Lattimore basically didn't practice at all last year. Again, this is from Whitt Jr. And as someone who ran track at a Division III college, I can only imagine what it would be like trying to race without practicing. To go against the best athletes in the world in a playoff game, and Mike Evans, a guy you've had long beef with, and a guy who knows you very well and your skills and your weaknesses, of course Marshawn Lattimore was going to struggle. It's tough to not practice, then go defend Mike Evans, go defend A.J. Brown, a lot of these players. And Whitt Jr. said that he was most impressed with Lattimore's mental resolve and competitiveness to put himself out on the field, knowing he was injured, knowing he wasn't practicing. Obviously, we want to see better from Lattimore, and to a certain degree, we have to, because the Commanders have an out after this year. This could be the last year of Marshawn Lattimore. Is he gonna be 30 this year? Let's see. How old is he? Marshawn Lattimore was born in May, and he's 29. Yep. So by the time the decisions are made for contracts, by the time that by the time that time rolls around where the contract decisions are being made, Marshawn Lattimore will be 30 years old, and if he's had back-to-back seasons with injuries and not playing well, it's going to lose him a lot of money. So big year for Lattimore all around, but we're hoping for the best. Because if that defensive back unit of Trey Amos, Marshawn Lattimore, and Mike Sainristil is solid, that completely changes this Commanders defense. That is the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the offense now. The ever-quotable Kliff Kingsbury said that Luke McCaffrey has come, quote, a long way, and that there's, quote, a night and day difference from last year. I believe that. I believe that McCaffrey got to the building at 5:30 a.m. with Jayden Daniels, just like we heard throughout the year. He was staying late after practice, working on his skills. He comes from a family of professional athletes, brothers, dad. Apologies to the mom. Maybe she was a professional athlete. I know she wasn't in the NFL, so the lineage breaks down there for me. But point being, I know that he knows how to work. We've seen some of the physical improvements he's made to his body. He's also gotten more reps with Terry McLaurin not be there. Kliff Kingsbury said that Luke's gotten work inside. He's gotten work outside the numbers. Bunch of different ways to refine his game. And he's a third-round pick at the end of the day. You need to hit on guys. In those first 2-3 rounds, you got to hit on your picks. Now, Sainer still looks like a hit. Amos, Jayden, obviously all hits. But McCaffrey's got to be one of those guys, especially with the McLaurin saga. So hopefully this is not just coach speak and Luke does look better. Speaking of looking better, the running game. Kliff Kingsbury talked about a whole bunch of different avenues, as did Dan Quinn. They both spoke about linemen and the speed that they have. For example, one of the questions, I think it was to Dan Quinn, was when you have Brandon Coleman and Laremy Tunsil out on the left side, and they're both big guys who are mobile, how does that change things? And DQ said, yeah, we can pull one, we can pull both, we can go counter, we can go sweep, we can go toss. When you talk about getting to the gaps, driving to the second level of the defense, it just expands the things that you can do with your running game. And although Washington's running game was actually statistically really good, we do know that it broke down in those big games. And a lot of the running game was also provided by Jayden Daniels' scrambles. As far as just traditional turn around, put the ball in the running back's stomach and let him go to work, wasn't a strength of the team last year. But with this development on the offensive line, that appears to have changed. Kingsbury also said, or confirmed what everybody's been saying, which is that Bill, Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt, has had very good flashes, and he is excited to see him in the preseason. Also, more from Kingsbury about Laremy Tunsil. Said that he is willing to let him go one-on-one against essentially anybody in the league, and that changes the complexion of the offensive and the passing game specifically compared to last year. Last year, the Commanders utilized a ton of chips from receivers and tight ends. They had the running back stay in to block an awful lot or stay and release, block and release. They had a lot of max protections, protection adjustments, but they don't need to do that, at least on the left side right now, is what it sounds like. It sounds like they're just going to leave Tunsil over there one-on-one, which means you're going to have more potential receiving options going out on passing routes. You're going to be able to open up the playbook and just have a more diverse passing attack than you did the year before. So for everybody that's worried about potentially not having McLaurin, a Jayden Daniels sophomore slump, just some of those arbitrary things. Well, if you have 4 receivers running routes instead of 3, or you have 5 instead of 4, there's more passing options. And as long as the protection is the same or roughly the same, you're going to be more likely to complete a pass, more likely to hit a big play just because you've got more options. So again, the Tunsil acquisition continues to make waves, and he hasn't even played a game yet. But I'm excited to see him, obviously. Then, going from one bookend tackle to the other, Kingsbury was talking about Josh Conerly. Said Josh is super talented, has everything you want, has made the adjustment from left to right tackle. There's still some fundamental stuff that he's got to get used to, but he asks great questions, works hard, studies hard, and is right where we expect to be him. So I would offer those comments as a response to anybody who's worried that Josh Conerly hasn't been named as a standout at camp. Hey, that's going to happen. This is a rookie, a 21-year-old, a true junior when he left Oregon, who's come into the NFL. He's playing the most physically demanding position, with play strength already being a concern at the lower level, something that he was going to have to get used to when he got to the NFL, and who's learning a new position. Don't expect him to come out and be the best player at camp. Give him time. Let the coaching staff coach him up. Let him get adjusted. He's got a great mentor in Laremy Tunsil. He's going against Von Miller and Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. Just give him time and he'll develop. Kingsbury said he is right on track with where he expects him to be. Final note here from Kliff Kingsbury. He was talking about Jaylen Lane, and as I always say, as a Virginia Tech guy, I saw this guy, and Kingsbury threw a bit of a shot at Virginia Tech's coaching staff, and he's spot on. He could have been a lot more, he could have been a lot meaner if he wanted to be, and he would have been accurate. Not that Kingsbury would ever do that or intentionally throw anyone under the bus, but his comments are absolutely true. So here's what he said about Jaylen Lane. He's been very impressive. If you tell him how to do it one time, he usually nails it. I've been really impressed. I don't think I could see some of those things at Virginia Tech watching the film. There it is. Getting him here in person and watching him run around, watching the coachability and the route tree he can run, it's really impressive. I saw someone put in one of the comments on my recent videos that Lane's not just going to be a slot/gadget guy. No, he's going to work inside and outside the numbers. He's going to run different routes. He can go deep, come short, work the intermediate game. I don't know where the Commanders are going to line him up, and they probably don't know either. They experimented a lot with Luke McCaffrey last year. Jaylen Lane's probably going to get some of that. I would still think the slot would be more of his home, but maybe he's a Z guy. Maybe he likes working outside. Maybe he develops. I don't know, but Jaylen Lane's going to be a playmaker for this team. That's what everybody is saying. That's what's pretty obvious from when you hear the coaches talk about him, when you hear Adam Peters talk about him. So excited to see him out there on the field. About to head on out of here, but before I do, the Commanders are heading up to New England tomorrow. It's going to be a travel day, so we're going to be a little bit light on the updates. Again, maybe we're going to go over the unofficial depth chart, depending on what that comes out. General things to watch for at joint practice, at least from what the coaches are hoping to see. Does the play style translate? Are the players physically prepared and physically sharp enough? And how do those players cope with going against players whose tendencies they don't know? If you're lining up against someone the same day at practice or in the same position at practice every day for months on end, if it's a cornerback, you're going to know the receiver's release. If it's an offensive tackle, you're going to know the defensive end's favorite move to get after the quarterback. You're going to know these things about the other player. You're going to know the timing, the tendencies, might have a beat on the snap count. How does that change when you go to face a different team? That's something to keep an eye on. But guys, I am going to head on out of here. If you have not already, please do hit that subscribe button again for daily content, sometimes multiple videos per day. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this and you are ready to hear what goes on at the Commanders joint practice with the Patriots on Wednesday. Jump in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and everything I said. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.